Hey everybody, welcome to Heroes Trek with your host Samir, that's me. And I'm here to talk about a book that's really near and dear to my heart, one that really moved me, and I want to share those feelings with you guys. But before we start, make sure you click the like button. I hope you like this video, and also subscribe so that when the next video comes out, you can know when it's coming out. Also, if you leave comments in the section below, I'd be happy to read them and talk to you about this book, this amazing, wonderful, heartfelt, poignant book. You know, we've had comics based on or with a backdrop of World War II before. Comics like the Nam from Marvel, which was really good, and even before that from DC. You know, DC had all these war story comics. So did Marvel as well, like Captain America, the Howling Commandos, the Invaders, and so on. But also DC had All-Star Squadron, which was in the Justice Society, and always seemed a little bit cooler to me because they were composed of these characters that were kind of like the considered B characters, but brought into the spotlight, right? Johnny Quick, Liberty Bell, and all those. Written by Roy Thomas, with art by Jerry Ordway. That's a series that's well worth checking out and searching in the back bins. But this book itself that we're talking about right now blows everything else away because it's based on true stories. You've got two lead characters that were real, that really experienced all these emotions, that felt and went through the consequences of war and how much that impacts a person and people. Something we sometimes forget when we're caught up with so many different things in life. People went through quite a bit during that time. The book is called A Letter to Joe. And it is a really, really amazing read. One that you will not be able to put down, that you'll read multiple times. So this is one of those books you can read multiple times. I'm going to read the back of the cover, so this part here, to kind of give you an idea of what the book's about. So, as Leonard fights on the front lines of World War II, memories of Josephine help keep him alive. As Josephine contends with life, family, and work in Cleveland, letters from Leonard sustain her. But official censorship forces him to leave out much of the action he sees. Finally, with the war coming to an end, Leonard is able to tell his full story. In a quietly beautiful letter to Josephine, Leonard writes of the loneliness he felt, the camaraderie he experienced, and the terrible violence he witnessed. Now Len and Joe's grandson Joseph has carefully researched the battles Leonard describes and expanded the letter into a moving tale of a young man's fear and bravery far from home. Brought to heart-wrenching life by the paintbrush of Kelly Williams, A Letter to Joe is at once a tender love story and a harrowing battlefield memoir. And I cannot praise this book enough. If you are in the mood for something different, something apart from superheroes and things of that nature, and you really want to be moved by a written piece of work, this Letter to Joe is the book to read. It's written by Joseph Sieracki. Sorry if I mispronounced that. He's the grandson of the lead character, Len Sieracki, who goes through World War II, leaving his fiancée behind, and keeps in touch with her through these letters. And finally, at the end of his tour, sends a letter with the complete details of what he's gone through, the heart-wrenching moments, the people that he's lost along the way, and the toll it takes on him mentally and his health through the entire Odyssey. He is shipped off to World War during World War II, and he arrives at Normandy a few days after D-Day itself, and it is devastation when he first arrives, and he sees people that he knew that are lying there. They've been shot and they passed away on the battlefield, died on the battlefield. So from the beginning, the character is hit with the brutality of war, and that's interspersed with moments of when he thinks back to Joe, of his fiancée who's back home in Cleveland, and the strength that she gives him to keep on going and pushing forward. Now, the best part about this is that the lead character is human. It's in the sense that he's not the perfect character. He's not the ultimate hero or anything like that. He's got flaws. He actually enjoys firing his machine gun, which he nicknames Death. He has moments of self-doubt, or lots of self-doubt and anguish, anger, fear, all of that. and that makes for such an interesting lead character. You know, there is a amazing quote here by Kurt Vonnegut that they put in the book at the front page, and he said, you know, we've had to imagine the war here, and we have imagined that it was being fought by aging men like ourselves. We had forgotten that wars were fought by babies. When I saw those freshly shaved faces, it was a shock. My God, I said to myself, it's the children's crusade. And that's what this is, children going off to war. In this book, you know, the prologue written by the grandson, the writer Joseph, he writes about the impact that it has on his grandfather and how it shapes his life after the war, how much difficulty he has, and the struggles post-war, but also how the war changed him. And that's important to keep in mind, that this was a living, breathing set of human beings, and how it progresses from the beginning of the war, from their engagement to the beginning of the war to the end. Each chapter starts off with a title card. Chapter 1 is called Love, you know, and so on. And chapter 2 is, of course, called Fear. And there are different chapters titled War and Death, and each one really highlights that title. The story within highlights the title. The artwork, which is beautiful. Here's some of it here. It's a regular scene where he proposes to Jo. And the battle scenes are just amazingly written. I mean, it's written well, but also drawn amazingly and beautifully. The artwork is just stunning to look at. Sort of reminds me of Bernie Wrightson, if you guys know. Bernie Wrightson, unfortunately, just, I believe, passed away last year. Brilliant artist, but not as horror detailed or horror focused. It just is an amazing read. I can't recommend this book enough. It details everything. Starts off with him proposing, as I mentioned, and then he's off to the war. Lands in Normandy, goes through different battle points, historical battles that, well, is known as historical now, but at that time, different battlefronts or battle lines or battlefronts that he goes to. And ultimately, you know, it's too much for him to take. He then is hurt and wounded in battle, but also just demoralized, and just the brutality. The war has just worn him down so much that he finally gets discharged and makes his way back home. But Jo doesn't know that as she's getting letters until the last letter that's sent to him that's not censored by the U.S. government. She then realizes everything that he's gone through. And so that makes, when she has that realization and she sees him back home for the first time, he surprises her by getting back earlier than she expected. The moment where they kind of hug each other and hold each other, it just takes your breath away. It really, really, really takes your breath away. You stop for a moment with a lump in your throat and you say, look at that. That's a happy ending. But there's a whole life after that which their grandson goes into during the prologue and the epilogue. This is what the lead characters actually really looked like in real life. So you always remember that, you know, that anchor into real life, the anchor of the lead characters being real and these emotions being real, pushes the book, is like the fuel for the book that really captures the reader, yourself, myself, in reading this book and saying, wow, you know, you're experiencing this, you're living it through these words that the grandson has written. Can't recommend it enough. Give it a big thumbs up. I think you would really enjoy it. And this is a book that really needs a spotlight. It can be overlooked. I haven't heard much discussion about it, but if you guys can get the word out, please do so. It's a story that deserves to be heard. Well, that's it for my review for this one. I hope you continue back, check on my other videos. And remember, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and also leave some comments so I can have a discussion with you guys. I'd like to know what you guys think. If you read this or have read this, let me know what you thought of it. If you also were moved by the story or not. And if you're going to get it afterwards, after you see this video and you then read it, let me know what you think. All right? I will see you next time. Until then, my co-host is Pikachu on this table right next to me. And I am actually looking forward to the next video and the next book that we're going to review. I'm actually going to create a channel which is going to focus on books of these types that take place during these these wars, or against the backdrop of real life situations. I think that that's something that's often overlooked and we need to focus on a bit. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you guys again real soon. Thanks again for watching Heroes Trek with me, Samir. Take care, everyone.